Welcome to today's Hop Talk. I'm your host, Jesus Molina. I'm the coordinator of the Veteran Center and Multicultural Initiatives.
And I'm your other host, Veronica Tantoko. I'm the Assistant Director of Operations and Special Events for the Department of Campus Recreation.
This will be the third semester, maybe fourth for some of us, if we had summer classes, where we are remote learning due to the pandemic. And each time we've learned something new on how to best navigate online learning. Although we all want to return to campus, we must adapt and utilize our resources to help us succeed. Today's show will focus on how to be successful online. And before we get to our guests, I want to go over some new resources that are available for this semester. For one, I want to make sure that everybody follows all of our social media handles, specifically, on Instagram. You follow us on @Harper Student Involvement to get all the news and information about events that are going on online and virtual. @Harper_Wellness to get any tips and events on how to best navigate the pandemic and being well. And of course, @Harper Campus Rec to find out about events and information about online group workouts and any other information regarding fitness. Also, I want to talk about access and disability services. If you've had accommodations in high school, or if you need accommodations, you want to make sure that you reach out to our access and disability services. That way you have your accommodations before classes start. You want to make sure that you reach out to them via email at ads@harpercollege.edu. Also new for this semester, the library has created a new landing page specifically for online support, where you can find information about how to receive technical equipment such as Chromebooks, hotspots, graphing calculators. The request form is right there on that homepage for the library, as well as information and resources on how to speak to or how to get access to the librarian and other resources and videos that can kind of help you, aid you in online learning. The Hawks Care Resource Center is also a great place to start if you need services or access to resources regarding food insecurity, if you need to talk to someone regarding counseling. They've also launched a new app called the Wellness Track app that can help you navigate and talk about certain issues regarding mental health. So that's something that's just recently been launched. Also, with the new landing page is financial aid. Sometimes paying for college can be stressful, but they made it a lot easier by creating a one only page for how to pay for school. So all the information regarding financial aid, FAFSA application, if you're using military benefits, it's all on one page, and you can only go there for one spot. And I think from here, I think we kind of turn it over to our guests for today.
Yes, so today we are joined with our two guests, Dean Mary Kay Harton and our Harper College student, Carrie Lynn Samuelson. And I'll let you give a little about yourself, and we'll hop into today's topic of online success.
I guess I will go first. I'm Carrie Lynn Samuelson. I'm a sophomore at Harper, and I'm also the treasurer for the Student Government Association.
And Mary Kay, if you want to give us a quick introduction for us.
I'd be happy to. I'm Mary Kay Harton, Dean of Students at Harper. I am relatively new to Harper. I started April 1st of 2019. So I've been in higher education 20 years. I moved here from Arizona, and I know everyone's like, why did you leave Arizona? But I'm really thrilled to be here. I'm enjoying the change in weather, and Harper's an amazing institution. And I'm really excited to get to work with students such as Carrie Lynn, and who are doing some amazing initiatives and leading the way with student leadership. So it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for being here. To kind of get us started on our first question, and this could be addressed to both. For Carrie Lynn, how has your experience differed being on campus versus online, being that you've been at Harper while we were on campus and now being online in remote learning?
I would definitely say that online learning is a lot more difficult than being on campus. It's definitely been a struggle to manage my time and also manage my assignments, because I'm kind of a person who likes having a schedule, likes having, go somewhere, be there by 9 a.m., be gone by 3 p.m., that kind of thing. And not having that makes it to where all of that pressure is now put on me, and to get up and go to my desk at 9 a.m. or get up and go to my desk by noon and things like that. And then not having the school environment around means that all of the pressure of keeping track of my assignments and essentially teaching myself with asynchronous classes just makes the entire endeavor a lot harder than the in-person. So it's been a whole 180 shift into how I'm used to doing school and how I'm used to managing my time.
And Mary Kay, how has it been different in supporting students and providing programming and events in this new online format?
I would say pretty similar. When we were on campus, you could watch kind of the flow of a program, and we could walk a hall and tell students about a program, and they could get right there. I could go out and, if I ran into Carrie Lynn, I could say, hey, there's a program. They could smell the pizza and go to the program. They can hear the music and find their way to what's going on and maybe stumble across the program. We would do a lot of programming in the hallway. So as students went to class, they could stumble into programming and participate, and we don't have that online. So the challenge has been we don't know where students are at, and we have to almost create this virtual hallway common space. But so that's been the challenge. We really relied a lot on our other senses, the smell, the sound, sight, and connections. So that's been the biggest challenge. We've been doing a lot of great programming. It's just hard to know where students are at. They're out there in virtual space, and when we were on campus, we knew where to go to find them in hallways and common spaces.
Yeah, and to both the, if you will, this academic side and then to the programming side, I think, we all might have access to WebEx, but who's going to send the link? Like you're saying, we do rely on our senses, whether it's physically getting up, driving, taking a bus, biking, running, however you get to campus, going to class, to, okay, it's 12 o'clock. Am I going to get up and go to my desk for the meeting, or am I going to sit in my bed and turn off my camera to go to class? So it's definitely been a big difference from being in person to this virtual online world. So Carrie Lynn, could you kind of go a little more in depth about some of your triumphs and challenges switching to an online format?
Absolutely. So for the challenges, it would definitely be staying motivated and kind of balancing all the aspects of my life in this online. I spend the vast majority of my week inside of my apartment in my living room. And so it's, staying motivated to turn off the TV or get off of social media in order to do homework, or in order to even, clean up my apartment, which is like a personal life kind of thing. It's just, that part has been really frustrating when there isn't that schedule of I have to get up and go and be somewhere else, or have the obligation or commitment of hanging out with other people or having people come over and things like that, needing to get those certain things in order. But I would say that a triumph from being online is that I've procrastinated less on my assignments last semester. So in the fall semester, I was able to get my assignments done prior to the actual due date. Now, sometimes that would be like on Saturday instead of Sunday, or it would be, Sunday morning early instead of Sunday morning late. But for me, that's pretty big because I've always been a procrastinating kind of student, where sometimes I was finishing up homework right as the teacher was walking around to pick it up. And so it was pretty nice being able to finally start to manage my time to not be that kind of student anymore.
Great. And I definitely know, even from my own experience, one of my struggles has been kind of separating my workspace and my home space. Not everyone has as much space to create an office and their bedroom. So sometimes it's two in the same, and you want to make sure that, you have to separate those things, but always having to be in the same room could be a little bit difficult. So at least I know one of my triumphs after a lot of trial and errors, moving my desk around and so that, hey, this is my desk, this is where I work, and that over there that you can't see right now because I'm facing a wall, that's my bedroom. So another question that I have for the whole group is, after having at least one semester of online classes or working from home, what is one piece of advice you can give to students? So let's start with Carrie Lynn.
So I would say that for the students, whenever you hear a specific type of advice, like, oh, if you're not feeling motivated, just try doing it for an hour and then give yourself a reward. Or, give yourself, like, highlight a time schedule for yourself so you know when you're supposed to get up to go to your desk and things like that. When you hear very specific advice like that, keep in the back of your mind that that kind of advice doesn't work for everyone. So just because someone gave you something specific like that, if you're struggling in an area like time management and someone gives you advice for time management, try it out. And if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. And then move on to something else and try something different. Not all advice is advice you need to take.
Great, thank you. How about you, Mary Kay? What's a piece of advice you can give to students?
I think what I would encourage and what I've seen come through my office is when communication with your faculty, your professors, and I would highly encourage the communication. It's predominantly done through email. So just have that compassion as well with each other. And my advice would be, if you feel as a student that it's being misunderstood and you're having to write back and forth, say more than twice, ask for a video conference, because email and written communication is the coldest form of communication. But if you can do a video conference, you hear my tone, you see my facial expressions, my reaction, and you can talk to that. And I think a lot can be resolved through a video conference. Don't panic when you ask for the video conference. The professor will send the link. So the other advice would be just communicate, 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 share everything. I'm having connectivity issues. I don't understand this. Just talk about it. I've got a lot going at home. The earlier, the better as well. So we've all been forced to pivot to online, and I really appreciate what Carrie Lynn said. We don't have the magic formula. Tips and tricks don't work for everybody. We're all trying to figure it out together, but communicate to your professors. They're there to help. We're here to help. So don't think that you're on your own with it.
Yes, communication is key. Earlier the better. More is better than less, especially when it comes to if you need something, whether it's your fellow classmates or your colleagues or professors. Send that email, and if there's some miscommunication, ask for that video conference. I definitely think that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
And like if email doesn't work, try virtual video chats, and if that doesn't work, we'll find a way to communicate to one another in this online world.
Veronica, if I can add to that too, be patient. So if your professor doesn't respond in 2 hours, wait a day. It's okay, because I would tell everyone it's all right. We'll see that you emailed. We'll watch the timeline. Give them a chance to respond. Remember, they're adjusting as well. And then, ask for another. Here's the email. May I call you? May I do a video conference? And don't panic. That's what I would tell everyone. Don't panic. We'll see the timeline of when emails were sent and the responses. And so we will help resolve any situation. So that's my best advice, would be just don't panic. We're all here to help and serve our students.
Wonderful. And how about you, Jesus? Do you have any pieces of advice you can give to our students?
Besides all the advice that's already been given, I think sometimes for me, you have to remember to stretch your legs. Sometimes we are in a meeting throughout the day where it's, back-to-back meetings, or you might have classes. I think it's just a good reminder to get up, get active, move around. In addition to that, outside of class and in your workspace or study space, it's important to kind of find those places of connection. Working from home since March, and navigating through the stay-at-home directives, whether it's stay at home completely, okay, only necessary things. You have to remember to kind of find ways to connect with other people, whether it's virtual Zoom chats with your friends, or finding those student clubs on campus that are meeting, or not on campus, but those student clubs that are meeting remotely, and so that way once everything's where we're allowed to go back to school, we're able to kind of continue what we built on in these remote settings, and it won't be as difficult to kind of meet with those students or meet with those student clubs. So I think finding what that is, right now it's a great way, because you can go and partake in different organizations and activities and clubs, with not a lot of time commitment on your end with traveling to and from school or whatnot. It's just another Zoom meeting that you have to put on your calendar. And so that's another piece of advice, is try to organize your time and putting things on your calendar so you don't forget, especially with Zoom meetings. If I don't put them on my calendar, at least from other external places, I'll forget that I have a meeting. So I'll get an email later like, hey, we missed you at our club meeting. Like, I completely forgot that we were supposed to be there. So definitely make sure that you add those to your calendar, so that way you kind of can organize your time.
Yes, and that kind of goes along with my piece of advice, which is getting organized. Everyone gets organized a little bit different. Some people like paper planners, some people like their digital calendars. I'm a big fan of my digital calendar. But I think it's important to just kind of know what you have going on, whether it's when your classes start, whether it's a late start or if it's at the start of the semester, the synchronous versus asynchronous classes. Do I have to be somewhere in real time, or is it just I need to complete this within a certain time period? Read your syllabus, find out what type of exams, quizzes, homework, and projects you might have coming up, so you can give yourself hopefully a little more time versus waiting to the last minute to get those items done. Just so whether you just have it on your radar, or if you need to plan ahead so you can make the time for these different activities and assignments and projects. Just whatever way you can get organized, I think. Just know what you need to do and when you need to do it. Write it down, enter it in a digital calendar, not camera, and that's, I think, a great way to kind of start your semester off before things really get busy with all these Zoom, WebEx calls, and different activities online.
And if I can, I have one last bit of advice. For the students, or for anybody really, while you are experimenting with the most effective ways for you to get organized, or for you to manage your time or manage your projects and assignments, while you're doing a lot of trial and error in what ways you work best, treat yourself the way that you would treat your best friend. If you had set a goal to study for 2 hours and you only studied for an hour, just imagine if your best friend came to you and told you that that was the situation you were in. What are the things that you would say to them compared to the things that you would normally tell yourself? It's still something to be proud of that you got studying in at all. So just make sure that you are giving yourself the same respect and compassion that you would give your best friend.
Yes, that's a great piece of advice. The little wins, the big wins. Treat yourself like you would your best friend. I think that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, definitely wanted to thank Dean Mary Kay and Carolyn for joining us today and providing their insights and advice. It's definitely something that we sometimes don't always seek, and we tend to sometimes navigate different challenges on our own, and then seek help and assistance when things might be a little bit harder. So it's always great to kind of get these pieces of advice, and like Carolyn said, one might not work, but another one does. So I think Michael Jordan once said, and I might get the quote wrong, so correct me if I'm incorrect, but I think you said you miss 100% of all the shots that you don't take. So just keep that in mind. You know, I've tried some of the different tips, and some worked, some didn't, but at least I tried. And you gotta just keep on trying to make sure you get what you need. So to kind of wrap up, you want to make sure that you stay up to date on all our events and programming happening at Harper College, not only with student involvement, but with all the different departments here. They're doing a great job of providing different resources and events and programming. And one great place where you can find that at is our Harper Happenings page, which is located on the Student Life page, and we'll provide the link in our link tree so that way you can find that. But that's something that, again, is brand new for this semester. We've had a newsletter before, but to make it more accessible, we definitely made it to where it's online so that way more students can see it. And so it's a lot easier to navigate. So again, we'll have that link on our page. And if you have any questions, concerns, whether it's regarding online success or anything like that, definitely reach out to all of us through either our social media pages or through our email, so that way we can connect you to the right resources and make sure that you get the support that you need.